At one time, not so long ago, infant death was common. This was due mainly to infectious disease, but sadly, some babies would just die suddenly and unexpectedly. No one seemed to ask why these babies might have died or how we might help their parents. Decades passed. Society recognized the existence of sudden unexpected death in infancy, and the term SIDS came into use. The fact that there was a name gave hope to parents. They came together in support groups. It was realized that SIDS happened in every country. Research showed that the infants were vulnerable in subtle ways. The stage of their development mattered, as did the sleep environment. Safe sleep campaigns sprung up around the globe. SIDS deaths decreased, but they did not go away. And despite these communities of support for SIDS parents and the myriad of researchers involved in trying to better understand sudden unexplained infant death, coroners and medical examiners now seem to be focusing almost exclusively on the sleep environment. They have stopped using SIDS to define these deaths and are using the term undetermined. Now, some may think undetermined means no more or no less than SIDS. Both have an element of uncertainty, but the disappearance of SIDS and the rise of undetermined have had undesirable effects. That's because SIDS used to be a familiar acronym that led to societal acceptance of a child's death. It used to be a passport to peer support, but now parents no longer feel a part of a community devoted to their interests.
As the results of the autopsy came back as undetermined, my husband and I were left without any understanding or any closure of her death. Shortly after Hazel passed away, we were in contact with the medical examiner's office. I think it was about 3 days after she had passed, and they let us know that nothing could be determined at that point.
We did receive a letter later on from the medical examiner just stating that the autopsy was pending and that the cause of death would be listed as undetermined at that time.
We were contacted early the following morning. So Brianne passed away on a Monday evening, and Tuesday morning we received a phone call from the medical examiner herself, telling us that the preliminary findings looked to be classic SIDS.
After we got the results back from the autopsy report and it came back as undetermined, I was just left really confused and uncertain about those results, as up to that point I was familiar with the term SIDS. I mean, that's every parent's worst nightmare, and every mom and dad knows the term SIDS. They talked about it in our prenatal classes. I talked about it with my mom friends about how we were scared of it happening.
With the medical examiner calling it undetermined, there's really very little to understand. Undetermined gives you no direction. There's no finality to tell people how your baby passed or why your baby passed. It doesn't give you any kind of closure as to whether it was something that you did wrong or something that was missed, or even any words to explain to anybody why something like this happens.
Once we found out that Brianne was a classic SIDS case, it gave us a hard label, but a label, and a family to belong to. We then were contacted by the SIDS group and got information and learned and searched and met and cried and talked, and belonged with people that have gone through the same thing. It helped us move in a forward direction and grieve together and belong to a sad family, but a family. And without the SIDS group and without the SIDS diagnosis, that would not have happened.
When they told us that the results came back as undetermined, I didn't understand if that was the same thing as SIDS or if that was something different. I didn't know what category we fit in. I didn't know. I mean, either way, I guess I don't know how Hazel passed away, but there was something about the term SIDS that made me feel like there was a reason or something that people could understand, and undetermined left us without any understanding at all.
A name change reaches past the grief of a parent. Researchers have trouble getting funding. Who would award a research grant for a condition that has disappeared? What has also changed is we have made it difficult for parents to support parents. We have also made it difficult to find out more about why the babies are vulnerable and why the developmental stage is important. We're missing out on opportunities to do the sort of research that might make SIDS even less likely. Undetermined, like SIDS, contains an element of uncertainty, but does not replace the familiar term SIDS. SIDS is a term that should still be used. Its use will be helpful in research, and more importantly, its use will provide comfort and support to parents in their time of need.